Today, inshallah ta'ala, we continue our discussion in Fiqh Seerah. And as we know, Fiqh Seerah, we are speaking about the prophetic lifestyle of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam from a fiqh perspective. And the last discussion that we had was how fiqh and the different developments of writing has taken with regards to the different methodologies we find in the books of Seerah. So we've explained quite a bit of our classical methodology and what it relies on, and where do we extract it from, and what are our main sources. Okay, so today we look at the Seerah of the Prophet ﷺ in light of modern works that has been written historically. So Imam Sheikh Ramadan al-Buti rahmatullahi ta'ala alayh, he says that في القرن التاسع عشر, in the 19th century, ظهرت طرائق كثيرة. It became manifest plenty of, or manifest had become plenty of methodologies, writing methodologies regarding history and how it's documented. This is obviously in relation to contextual writing, what academics refer to today as the madhab al-ilmi, which is the academic methodology of writing history. So there is a meeting وقد تلاقى معظم هذه المذاهب فيما أطلق عليه اسم المذهب الذاتي، ويعد فرويد من أكبر الدعاة إليه والمتحمسين له. So the meeting of all of these historical writings meet by a name which they refer to as the madhab al-dhati, and Freud is regarded as one of the biggest provocators and people that actually championed this type of contextual historical writing. ولا يرى أقطاب هذا المذهب من ضير في أن يقحم المؤرخ نزعته الذاتية أو اتجاهه الفكري والديني أو السياسي في تفسير الأحداث وتعليلها والحكم على أبطالها. So this particular school of writing does not see the harm in how the ideology, religion, politics has affected the writer in terms of explaining these incidents of history and ruling upon the champions of history. بل إنهم يرون أن هذا واجب المؤرخ. But they see that people that explain history, even though they're affected by the ideologies, their own religious fanaticism, their own political affiliations, they actually see that this is one of the things that are incumbent upon the historian, and not just to describe historical events that are void of any meaning. So this method of writing history and documenting history was a art, okay? ولا تسمح بعده نهوضا بعمل علم دقيق, okay? And it doesn't give consideration into awakening a very precise academic methodology. ونحن وإن كنا لسنا بصدد الحديث عن المذاهب التاريخية ونبتها, even though we're not at the core of speaking about the modern historical methodologies of writing and criticizing it, however, it should not it shouldn't be hidden to us that in the current age that we are living in, that there are people that are calling to this type of reading, okay? And this type of reading supports breaking up the true realities of these events and historical structure which is to us sacred. And basically what it does is it is based on personal desire, fanatical ideas, and certain realities that are just abrogated and broken up. So the question the Sheikh then says, فهل كان لهذا المذهب الجديد من تأثير على كتابة السيرة وطريقة تحليلها? He then says like the modern historical methodology of history, of writing history and documenting history, did it actually impact the way people will document Seerah and the way they analyze Seerah? The true reality is that this new method of writing history started to become, or started and it commenced as a basis for a new school of documenting and studying Seerah specifically, and understanding Seerah according to some researchers. So the question is, how did this new method start, and what were the motives of initiating this method, and where is the people that champion this method? So the true reality of this methodology and the school of thought actually starts in the days where Britain starts to colonize Egypt. As at the time, the Egyptians were regarded as the member of the Islamic world as we knew it. Okay, so this is a very important point that I'm making here, and that Sheikh Saeed is referring to here. And many people do not know this, that the colonization of the British to the Egyptian society had a big impact on the academics and the educational systems in Egypt till this very day. Okay, so يعنو إلي بتفكيري وعقلي كلما أراد أن يعلم عن الإسلام علما كانوا يعنون إلى كعبة الله بوجهه كلما أراد حجا أو صلاة. So the main purpose was to understand, study everything about Islam. Okay, and in order to do this, they had to make hijrah, they had to immigrate to the member of the Islamic world at the time, which was Egypt. So if they wanted to now to make hajj or to make salah, this is where they went to. And in order to continue this great voice from a particular perspective, and in order to continue to silence the Islamic world from another perspective, ما لا يدع للاحتلال البريطاني في فرصة هدوء أو استقرار, which doesn't leave the Britain colonization a chance in being still or having any stability. ومهما أخضعت بريطانيا لنفسها الوادي كلها تحت السلطان من قوة الحديد والنار فإنه خضوع موقوت لا يطمئن إليه ما بقيت للأزهر هذه القيادة الحية. So the British had to undergo very severe powers at the time, which they would not be contented with, and they would not get their way as long as the Al-Azhar was in the riding seat. It is therefore that the British colonization, when approaching one of the علاجيين or علاجيين لا ثالث لهما. Okay, so when approaching one of the methods of how to approach the British colonization, there were two cures. The author says there's no third for them. The first cure was أن يقطع ما بين الأزهر والأمة. They had to destroy, eliminate the relationship between the Azhar and the Islamic world, to the extent that there is no authority from the Al-Azhar. That was the first, this was the first breaking point that the British had to do. The second breaking point was أن يتم التسلسل إلى مركز العمليات القيادة في الأزهر ذاته، فتوجه قيادة الوجهة التي ترضى مصالح الاحتلال وتهيئ له أسباب الطمأنينة والاستقرار، ولم تتردد بريطانيا في اختيار العلاج الثاني نظرا إلى أنه أقرب منالا وأبعد عن الملاحظة والانتباه. Subhanallah. We saw that the first approach was either they attack the Azhar, they destroy, they massacre. Basically, the first option for the British to colonize Egypt was to destroy and massacre the Azhar and the Egyptian society. Okay? But this will obviously draw a lot of attention. So the second approach the British took was to approach the head centers and the leading centers like the Al-Azhar and to infiltrate the Qada, to infiltrate from the very top at the academic world, okay, which will be unnoticeable, and it falls in place of pleasing and accomplishing the colonization of Britain to Egypt. And it had a better impact for future relations in terms of stability. Obviously, the British, they were not confused in choosing the second cure, which was to destroy Egypt by colonizing the education system, as this would be easier for them and it is away from the attention of the media and the world. So this was the only way in order to annihilate, destroy, eradicate the leading academic thinking world from inside, right? So they destroyed Egypt internally through and in the Azhar. And they depended on this, on what the Sheikh refers to as the نقطة ضعف أليمة كانت تعاني منها مشاعر الأمة الإسلامية عامة بما فيها مصر وغيرها، وإحساس المسلمين بما انتباههم من الضياع والتخلف والشتات إلى جانب ملاحظتهم للنهضة العجيبة التي نهض الغرب في شتى المجالات الفكرية والعلمية والحضارية. لقد كان المسلمون يطلعون ولا ريب إلى اليوم الذين يتحررون فيه من الأطفال التي خلفتهم إلى الوراء ليشتركوا مع الآخرين في رحلة الحضارة والمدنية والعلم الحديث. So the deception of the British was to make the Azhar believe that the very reason that you guys, meaning the Egyptians and the Islamic world, is suffering is based on the fact that you did not want to accept the modern approaches. You wanted to hold on to this classical tradition of yours, and because holding on to that classical tradition of yours, this is where it got you guys. So they made them feel that the reason for their loss, the reason for their backwardness, the reason for the disunity was based on the fact that they kept onto the classical tradition. And British taking the opportunity to point out that the very reason for the driving awakening in Europe, which the West saw in different fields, whether it be academic, whether it be in terms of cultural, in all fields. So they said, follow us and you would be able to go into the same direction that we are experiencing now as the West, right? As a thriving society. And this was the way of how they then whispered and they plotted the colonization into the hearts of the leaders of the Egyptians. And this led to, this whisper led to the fact that the West shall not be liberated from its change, except the day religion humbles itself to the measurements of knowledge. So they regarded religion as something and knowledge as something else. And they did not see that there was a possibility between connecting the two. It is therefore that the Islamic world were very stringent upon this liberation. To understand Islam like the West understood Christianity. And we then see that as soon as the leaders of the Egyptians then gave into this whisper, and they started to listen, and the vision dropped at the manifestation of the driving thirst that the Europeans were experiencing, and the fact that the true reality of Iman was not deeply rooted in their hearts, and it did not become manifest in terms of the ability to apply it. So they had to score to liberation from the Aqidah that was unseen, that was not able to unveil new discoveries, and so on. This had a major impact on the writing and the history, as well as the academics and the education system. So what happened was that we saw books and certain works of Seerah that now compensated the riwayah and the sanad and the qawaid, the axioms and the narrations and the chains of transmission and its conditions, to a methodology that was based on personal experience, a methodology that is based on personal satisfaction, a methodology that does not have any cornerstones and universal frame. And it was primarily based on what the author felt. What was deep down the author's mind? How did he feel about these incidents? Okay, so once they started depending on this method of writing, and which obviously goes contrary to what you'll find in the chapters of miracles, when it comes to supernatural things in the Seerah of the Prophet ﷺ, and they started in promoting the Prophet ﷺ as a genius, as a hero, as a politician, as a militant, which then busied the reader with these characteristics, and not pointing him towards the fact that the Prophet was aided and supported by prophecy, he was aided and supported by revelation, he was aided and supported by the message. It was to eliminate these primary fundamentals that made the shakhsiyah and the personality of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And the first book to do this was the book called The Life of Muhammad, that was written by Hussein Haykal. He makes this writing a manifest writing of how Seerah then should be written. Inshallah, on that point, I will stop and I'll continue to explain how they then approach Seerah from this particular methodology specifically, and how that impacted later writers in our tradition, وأكتفي بهذا القدر، وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وبارك وسلم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر. شكرا والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته.